says that I'm live. I don't know if that's true or not, but it looks like it might be. Let me mute this. There we go. All right. So if you looked at the thumbnail and the title, this is not an NVMe drive. This is actually something else. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, what is the point of this live stream? A few different things. One is I haven't done a live stream in a while, so I wanted to see if I still can do one. It's probably been like 3 or 4 months or something like that. But since I had my health problems, live streaming is a little bit stressful because you have to do a live stream. And when you edit videos, you can go back and fix mistakes. You can't do that on a live stream. But also, I have this PC case that was in my office under my desk. It's very big, and my sister is sending me encouragement because she's helping moderate the chat, so don't misbehave in there. But anyway, I have this large PC case, and it was under my desk, taking up a lot of space. I upgraded that to a 2U rack mount PC that I built with an Intel processor, mostly because they had more availability of small SFF PC parts for Intel. And thankfully my heater just turned off. And so now I have this big PC case that has a little bit of older hardware. It's actually overpowered for what I needed for gaming and for what I needed in my office. But I needed something that had fewer bottlenecks in it. And that's why I have this hardware that's in front of me. Like I said in that video where I upgraded the Office PC, they had a deal that I kind of couldn't pass up on a AMD 7900X Ryzen 9 processor. It had this B650E F motherboard. I really wanted the E motherboard, which has more PCI Express lanes, more PCIe 5 coming straight off the CPU, because that's one of the cool things about this generation of CPUs. But the F is still pretty good. It has PCIe 5 on the top slot and PCIe 5x4 on the NVMe slot. I don't have a PCIe 5 NVMe drive yet, but it has a lot of bandwidth in this board, and it has faster RAM. It has DDR5 RAM and all that. But you're also probably wondering, why is this already built? I have this BC1 benchtop rig here. Why do I have it already built here? That's because since this processor is pretty new, the 7000 series is a pretty new platform, there's a lot of little things like the memory timings and memory speed and the controller, the chipset, the chip itself. All these things are pretty new to the point where the BIOS keeps getting updated frequently at this point. And I wanted to try out Eco mode because one of the big complaints about these new processors is they eat up lots of power. And in fact, I tested this one on my kilowatt and I was getting like 105 watts idle. Like you just turn on the PC and let it sit for a while and it'll be burning 105 watts all day long. That I couldn't accept that. So I wanted to test out Eco mode on here, and the BIOS that was loaded on the board when I got it didn't support that, switching to it. And I even tried tweaking the settings myself in the PBO settings and all that. That didn't work. So I wanted to try Eco mode to turn down the TDP for this processor so it would use less energy. And so I had to update the BIOS on it. There's a whole story for that. It's on my website. There's a link in the description. YouTube is saying right here, you can earn more money by inserting an ad right now. I'm not going to insert an ad during this live stream. That's insane. They're crazy. All right. Watching it work, getting paid for this. Yes, that's nice. Yeah, 105 watts at idle is mental. So let me move this stuff out of the way because we should start getting building. I'm going to put some of these things aside and also give myself a little timer so that I can remember to do some things. Hopefully I won't need anything else out of the motherboard box, but this is the prettiest box of the bunch. It has all these pretty colors and things. And since this PC actually has a side panel that you can see through, it's nice to have something pretty, I guess. I'm not big into RGB, but if it has RGB, I'll use it. And also, gotta love the old, this is like 12 or 14 years old now, this Logitech keyboard. I use this for debugging just because it's all in one. I don't have to manage a mouse separately. I think I have a little RF plug right there. It's already plugged into the motherboard. And I don't need that right now. And we will need this later. So I will mention this at the beginning, since you can look it up if you're getting bored at any point during the stream. This is an Innodisk, I forget what the name of this is. It's like the EGPL-T101 or something. I have a link to it in the description. Everything here is linked in the description. This is a 10 gigabit NIC that you can put into an M.2 slot, and I'm hoping that we can fit it in here. This graphics card is massive, so we'll see if we can actually fit it or not. This is just the Wi-Fi antenna, external Wi-Fi antenna for Wi-Fi 6E. And there's a couple parts to this. I'm going to move this off of here for right now, because I need to take all the parts out of here. Yes, somebody put Innodisk EGPL-T101. I think I was right. Surprise, surprise. Oh, quick note about this case that I didn't realize until I was taking pictures in the last video. It is not flat. It actually rises on the front, which I guess is a cool gamer stance or something, but I didn't particularly like that because I was trying to get a perfect geometric, like, square picture, and it's really hard to do when the case is like this, you know. So yeah, probably no encryption on it. I don't know. It's pretty old. I don't use it for anything. I don't use it for production or anything, but yeah. Like the sponsor's segue. All right, so let's get some of this stuff out. And I might need to move the light. Can you see that pretty good? Yeah, you should be able to see that okay. And I was happy with this machine. It works well enough for my needs. But the 4090 is the primary reason I started thinking about upgrading to a better motherboard, just so it would not be, the CPU wouldn't be the limiting factor. And the 4090 is way overkill. I don't need it, but there are some things that I do with machine learning that I can use it for, but it's actually for another project that I will not reveal at this point. I actually have the right bit on here. Let's see. Take off the power supply shroud here. Because we also need to replace the power supply, because the 4090 takes a lot of power, and the PSU I have in here is a 650 watt, which could handle the motherboard and the 7900X just fine. And I actually was testing this with an ARC A750, which is also for another top secret project, which will be revealed soon. But I'll need to get all of this stuff out of here. I have the front panel USB 3. I actually bought this speaker. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard to do macro on here. I don't have a macro lens on here, but I have a PC speaker. I actually do that because it's nice to be able to turn on a PC and hear the beep to know that it actually is starting up right, especially when you're doing weird experimental things. There's the front panel headers. And here's another thing I did not like about this case. This is the Asus GT501, I think. I built a Raspberry Pi gaming PC in here. I put, what was it, Quake 3 Arena or something on it, and got over 100 hertz refresh. The HD audio header that comes with this motherboard, this is like as far as it goes, so, or that comes with this case. And it doesn't actually reach back to where the HD header is on most motherboards that I've seen, at least gaming motherboards seem to always have them over here. So I had to buy this extension cable, so that's kind of annoying. All the other cables were fine, and I bought this case because it has two 3.5-inch drive bays here, it has two on the back side on the other side of the case, and it has three 2.5-inch bays. So you can put a lot of different drive configurations in here. Let's get this guy out. And this 3080 Ti, or as I call it, the 3080 Ti, actually came from a viewer. I bought it from him back at the height of the GPU crisis. I said I need one for some testing, which I did, and I still am doing some interesting testing with it. And if you're wondering why I didn't have to press any release for this, whoever owned this motherboard before me, I bought this used, broke off the release, and also over here is the 2.5 gig NIC, and they broke that too when they must have yanked a GPU out of it, so that was nice of them. but I'm going to set this aside. But anyway, that was from a viewer, and I paid at the time what the a little above what MSRP was, and then like a month after that, the prices started coming down. So I felt silly about that, but I did get to use it for some interesting testing. I'm going to start getting these power cables out of here too, because you can't just use the same power supply, modular power supply cables with a new motherboard, or with a new power supply, because power supply pinouts can differ. Ask me how I know that. I burned up a Redragon or Red Dragon power supply at one point doing that. So let's see. No 4090. Yes, the 4090 is coming. Don't worry. I pulled out the 3080 Ti just now. And what OS am I going to use? That's something you can debate in chat. I know everybody in chat loves to talk about what their favorite OS is. One of the OSs will be Windows 11. That's just because some of the gaming tests I'm doing run better under there. But for today, I'll probably be booting into a Linux distro. Let me stick a poll in live chat, and we can see what people think here. I'm going to do a poll and say which distro. And we'll say Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch. What else should we put as a distro? Temple OS. We'll do that. RIP. Oh, there's only 4 options, so we'll do those 4. Ask. Okay, well, I'm taking this apart. Go ahead and vote on that, and we'll get to it. And one more screw here for the power supply. Right. And hopefully you guys can see me okay. I know my back is to the camera, but you know, this is for fun. So set this power supply over here. And I'm not like Linus Tech Tips. I can't have like a production fairy cleaning this stuff up while I'm going. So, okay. And then I'll need to take these out through the backside after I pull them off the motherboard. Yeah, wrench that guy off. And the CPU power connector. That's off of there. And while I'm at it, I'm going to pull this case fan off the back. The RGB goes back here to this header. So this goes to, whatever that RGB, it's the 4-pin RGB header that I hate. And I got to take this guy out. This is my capture card that I use sometimes when I'm capturing a video from a Raspberry Pi or another SBC that's external. Oops. Apparently the 3080 I had in here is only 2-slot. I thought it was a 3-slot, but I guess I'm just getting used to how ridiculously oversized all these graphics cards are getting. So I'm going to put this PCI Express slot cover in the right space, I believe, for the 4090, just so I don't have to do that later. I also had in here this 10 gig, I think this is a Mellanox Connect X3. Yeah, Connect X3 Mellanox card. This guy is going to be replaced in the new build with this guy. So he had the old Mellanox card, and this one, I think this one uses, sorry if that's out of focus, a Quanta chipset, so it should be pretty compatible. There are drivers for Linux and Windows, only x86. There aren't any drivers for ARM for this guy. So, but I haven't tested it with recompiling the kernel yet, but of course I'll have to do that later. Won't be able to do that on the stream today because this thing is x86, so I don't need to do that. Let's see here. Jeff OS. I don't want to maintain my own OS, even my own distro. It's not too fun. Let's see how we're doing on this poll. Yeah, Ubuntu is in the lead. Fedora, and so it's Ubuntu, Arch, Temple, and Fedora. Poor Fedora. They have a great community, and I guess part of the thing is with Fedora that if you're not in the Red Hat ecosystem, like if you don't do Red Hat work, or if you don't do a lot with that space, it's not as well known, I guess, outside of that. I'm missing one PCI Express slot cover, so I'll have to find that later. But I think I can start taking out this motherboard. Is there anything else? Oh, here's one more. Another, oh, the front fans here on the case were connected down here to that header. I don't think anything else is connected right now. Just the CPU fan. So we can pop this out. Go ahead and do that. Actually, I'm going to get this. Get the other motherboard case out so that I can set that on top of there and it won't cause any big problems. I don't recommend doing this vertically. It's nice to lay this down flat, but it looks better on video, so that's why I'm doing it this way. I might have to remove the CPU cooler to get to one of those screws. Let's see. Oh no, it's right there. Okay. And there's one here. All right. We're going to see if I can do this without dropping the motherboard and the CPU cooler, which is nice and heavy. That'll be fun. Ha! I just got a video of a cat on my watch. From my sister who's helping mod the chat. So again, be nice in chat. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. Let's see if we can do this. F in the chat. Oh, if I drop it. Oh gosh, that was a little heavier than I thought it would be. This is the Noctua NH-U12A, I think. I did a video on the upgrade. That was in the midst of my health woes last year, so the video wasn't amazing. But I'm going to take this guy off and put it on the new board. Maybe I won't. What time is it? Maybe I won't today, because I've been testing another cooler. So this is the NH-U12A Chromax Black, which I like the fact that it has the nice black look for the black motherboard, black case, everything. Generally with Noctua, I just get the normal, whatever that ugly color is, because I don't care too much, and I just like the fans and the quietness, and I should probably set this down before I drop it. But this one I wanted to get the Chromax Black just because it matches the build a little bit more. And I will swap this out soon. I just figure today I want to get this into the new build, so I might as well do that, and then I'll switch it out later. So for that cooler, I bought, where's the box for it? Here it is. There goes the Baofeng. Oh. I'll set that down somewhere else. So for this, I bought this Be Quiet Dark Rock Slim. It's for 180 watt TDP. It actually works well. It's I can get it to be about as quiet as that Noctua cooler. It doesn't cool quite as deeply, but even at the full 170 watt TDP on this chip, it was able to cool it well with, you know, the fan would ramp up and not be too noisy. But it's a nice cooler. You gotta love though, Amazon just threw this in the mail and it ended up on the porch with their giant sticker. Luckily my address is not on there, that's good. But so now, you know, there was tape over the whole box, there was this thing. That's, thank you Amazon. I guess if you're gonna order from Amazon, try to order multiple parts so they come in a box and they don't just slap a label on the PC component box and throw it on your porch. How do I close this? Okay, I can end the poll. So 42% for Ubuntu. We'll see if you're right or if you're wrong. Which distro will I go with, and why is it Arch? No, let's see. Which one had the most recent release, and that's the one that we'll pick. All right, so we need to finish getting the... Oh, I hate this connector. This thing scares me. This, what is it, ATX12VO or something? It's a new connector. For anybody that doesn't know, I'll pull this out and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, I don't know why they wanted to switch to this. I mean, it's a tiny bit smaller and it can handle the amperage, but this is, here, let's see if you can see that. Focus, there we go. See, that's the ATX12VO or VA or something. It's the new, it can provide 600 watts of power to graphics cards like this. I don't like the fact that like the ends of it, like this much of it is not very flexible. And if you want to crank it, so what's going to happen is I'm going to plug this into the card here, and it's going to want to hit the side of my case, and I have to bend it. So I'm going to have to bend these connectors or these little extensions here quite hard to get it to bend. And that can put a little stress on the internal connections here that are soldered. I don't really like that design, but it is what it is. I actually ordered a cable mod. They make a 90-degree bend adapter, and I think I linked to that in the description too. So if someone wants to mention what the model name of that is, there's an adapter where it plugs into this card and it goes 90 degrees so you can plug in like this. Hopefully that'll make it fit in the case better, but we'll see how that goes in a little bit. I am mixing up cables here. I shouldn't do that. I'm gonna put these with the old power supply, and I'll take out the rest of the cables before I do anything else dumb here. All right. It's always a good idea to put tempered glass onto a concrete floor, and if you want, drop it on the corner. Yeah, bend equals flames. I am not in the Netherlands today, and I haven't been there for many years, but I would like to go back sometime. Let's see here. So we got the CPU. There's CPU power. Don't want to mix up the cables. There's the motherboard. Okay, come out of here. How are we going to do this? Maybe I'll go the other way, because this part is modular. 2 connectors. Oh no, I just pulled out the whole grommet. Oh man. All right, let's get this grommet fixed. And I'll put these over here so I don't mix them up. And let's get this grommet back in. These are the parts that you edit out when you're making a full video on YouTube, because YouTube's viewer watch time retention graph and all that hates it when you do things that aren't like unbelievably fun and interesting. I still leave some of that in, but the more you leave in, the more the YouTube algorithm punishes you. So anyway, there's the grommet. I think we have everything else ready. Let me start getting the power supply set up. So I'm going to take this motherboard power connector off of here. Also, some people might have asked, I haven't checked or not, but this, oh, I hate taking out those cables. This benchtop, little open test bench thing is called the Open Bench Table, I think. And I have a mini ITX one, and I have the full ATX one in black. This is the version 2, a little newer and nicer. The other one is the version 1, but for the ITX it doesn't matter as much. There aren't little quality of life improvements. Like this one, you can mount an AIO to it for water cooling. You can mount other things to it with accessories. They even have a 3D printed part catalog for it that's pretty cool. Another thing I did on this motherboard, it has a 4+4 pin connector, an 8-pin CPU power connector, and a 4-pin connector, which I thought was interesting. The old motherboard just had an 8-pin, and a lot of older motherboards with smaller CPUs just have a 4-pin. You can provide extra power through an extra 4-pin connection, and that'll give a little extra power for the CPU if you want to overclock. I'm not going to overclock. I'm actually kind of underclocking this by setting a TDP limit. Oh, and for this bench table, I also bought a little 12mm push button that I can use for power, and it has a little LED that lets you see it turned on. Otherwise, if you don't have that and you're working on a bench table, one of the most annoying things is you want to turn on the PC, you have to short these 2 power pins. So I had like a little jumper, and I would take the jumper and touch it to them. It's always a little scary to just throw jumpers on motherboards though. So I recommend if you're gonna work with a bench table like this, get a little power button and LED combo. I think bench table makes one of those. Thank you, Waco Malt. Requiring a custom Pi CM4 PCB. Good resources. Oh, shoot, what's the guy's name? If somebody knows in chat, put it down. Phil's Hardware Lab, I think. I've been watching his videos, learning a bit about PCB design. Excellent YouTube channel. Worth a subscribe if you want to do PCB design. I think it's Phil's Hardware Lab. Someone else can fact check me on that. Butter knives, yes. Yeah, just take a screw. Oh gosh, all the screws are stuck on here. just take a screwdriver and just short it over everything. That would be, I don't recommend doing that. That would be the wrong way to do it. All right, so let me get this GPU off. A cool thing that this bench table has is these little PCI Express card holder things. It all folds up into one flat piece, which is nice for me. I'm going to do a tour of my office probably soon, and you'll see why having as little space taken up for things like this is good. I don't have much space. It's 120 square feet in there, so I don't have much space to store stuff, and having a bench table that I don't use 24/7 that can fold up into a compact little strip is worth a little bit of extra price for me. This is a huge graphics card. It's ridiculous. Ridiculously huge. So I'm going to put this over here. And I'll put it upside down so it doesn't touch anything right now. And everything's unplugged. So a cool thing about the open bench table is it comes with these little fake screw things, so you can just pop a motherboard on and off. It's all modular, and you can buy spares. You can also screw it down into it if you want to have a more permanent test bench running on one. But it's a nice setup, and it has a mount underneath for the power supply. It has mounts over here that you can put 2.5 or 3.5 inch hard drives. It's just an overall very, very happy setup. So I'm going to leave this cooler on for now. I was going to switch it out, but I don't want to deal with all the thermal paste and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'll give a quick overview. Let me see if, where do I need to hold this? Like here. So I'll do a quick overview here. Under here, I have a Kioxia XG8 NVMe SSD. You can't really buy these. Kioxia sent me a few for a Pi project, so I have them sitting around, so I'm starting to use them in some builds. They're very fast and nice and very reliable, so that's why I'm using them. But this is an XG8. I can get about 7,000 megabytes per second read, I think, and maybe 4,000 or 5,000 write, which is nice. 5 gigs a second, 7 gigs a second. I don't have anything under here or here yet. We're going to try putting in that NVMe 10 gig card here. This motherboard has 4 DIMM slots. I'm just using the first channel for, I think there's 16 and 16 gigs of DDR5 6000 RAM. Then I'm going to put the 4090 in here. This is PCIe Gen 5 by 16, so this is a full slot. Down here there's 2 PCIe 4x1s, and then this is a PCIe by 16 physical, but it's only by 4 in terms of pins. So that's a little disappointing. It'd be cool if they gave you more power here, but then the way that this works is you can either have a card in here or an NVMe device in here, or M.2 PCIe, which is what I'm going to do. Hopefully, if that works. If not, then I'll probably go back to a 10 gig card here, but I really want to see if that little card will fit in here and work. When I bought this, I thought that these would both work at the same time, so I was like, oh, I'm going to do that there and have another card here, but we'll see what happens. Or if I can put like some thin cooling solution here and take off the heatsink, I could put that M.2 card here. This is another PCIe Gen 4 by 4, I think, PCIe slot that's off the chipset under here. So that's the motherboard. It's a decent motherboard in general. It has 2.5 gig networking. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if you can or not. It also has Wi-Fi 6E, which I have a video that covers why Wi-Fi 6E is pretty cool. You can get over a gigabit over wireless. It has USB-C, has USB Type-A, a bunch of ports at different speeds, 10 gig, 5 gig, or I think those are 5 gig. It has BIOS flashback, which I have a whole video on, or I have a whole blog post on my site that's linked in the description about my woes getting this thing updated, but I eventually did. And it has built-in video ports that go through the integrated GPU on this thing. One thing I found that was interesting with this particular build is the 7900X internal integrated GPU had some weird artifact bugs. Like when I was using Firefox, it would sometimes display text and sometimes not. So that was highly annoying. And so you really want to use a graphics card if you get one of these things. I mean, it works for debugging, but that's about it. It's also extremely slow. So again, let's see if I can do this one-handed. Terrible idea, but get the IO shield in place. Get a couple of these screw holes lined up. And this is where the LTT screwdriver does come in handy with that powerful magnet. So got one in. Okay. Whew. Well, that was the most difficult part of getting the motherboard in. Let's get a few more screws in so I feel more secure. YouTuber feels insecure as he puts together a PC. I saw a Scott Manley stream where he was putting together his PC. That was fun to watch. I don't know. That's one of the reasons I actually wasn't going to live stream this until I saw Scott Manley do his little thing. It's just fun. That's one of the best things about YouTube, I think, is the fact that we can hang out and chat together. The community around the channels is a lot of times even better than the content on the channels. Some of it happens in Discord, which I have opinions on Discord. I have a Discord for anybody who wants to support the channel on Patreon. You can join the Discord, but I still don't like all the discussion happening inside of Discord for things. I like having it outside of Discord where people don't have to be signed in. People can search it easier. And I think I actually used the wrong screw up here. I used a PSU screw, which works, but that's the wrong screw for the motherboard. I mean, if your motherboard comes with the right screws, or I think in this case these are the case screws, you should use the right screws for the job. I think this is the last one. Okay. And then I'm going to put this back on the bench top. Let's check on time too. Chatting on Mastodon. Mastodon is interesting. I think with all the stuff that Elon has been doing, there's a better chance every day that it picks up a bit more steam. Thank you very much, Jan Monson. Sorry if I butcher your name, but I'm terrible with reading names. Ha, yes, cosplaying as a sysadmin. I was thinking about wearing that one today, but I figured this one is fun because one of the reasons I do like building my own hardware for my home lab and for my computers is because the cloud is just someone else's computer. You don't have control over the hardware. So it's nice being able to show people how to have control over their own hardware. 100 gigabit. Crypto scams. Cloud shirt is better. Pi webcam. So it's, you mentioned that Pi webcam project. Somebody can put a link to this in chat, but there's Show Me Webcam is what I recommend now. Instead of the project that I had started, I really need to do a video on that. But Show Me Webcam lets you set up a Pi as a webcam a lot more easily, and it boots a lot faster, and it's better maintained than Pi webcam, the project I had set up, I think a year, maybe 2 years ago now, that used a Pi Zero. Let me get all these out. I probably should just take the power supply off and then unplug all these things, but that's the easy way. Okay. I even had these routed nicely in the bench so that it was all, like, it looked pretty. Ooh, that cable doesn't look super pretty. All right, here's the motherboard cable. Let's see where's the plug? It's up at the top on this one. Will that reach? Yeah, it reaches. Okay. So we're gonna go, I might just go through here instead of using the grommet. Because this case, I like this case how all the edges are rounded over. So I don't feel bad about putting a cable through here, whereas I would on the other one, on my other case that has harder metal edges. So I'm just gonna do that because I don't like the bend. If I put it through here, I have to bend it really hard. This way I give a little bit more flow to the cable. And if this were an edited video, I'd put some GIF of some sort of flow thing. Come on. Oh, I hate doing this. I always hate the motherboard power connector because it never snaps in until you like bend the motherboard. Okay. We got this one. Let's get some other motherboard connections before I put in the power supply. Where's USB 3? Oh, it's up here. Okay, so I have to do this. Oh, cable management. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. HD audio. Oh, shoot. Which pin is it? This one's missing. Okay. This one doesn't have a blocked header, so you just have to look at which pin is missing and then put that where the pin is missing on the motherboard. So it goes this way. If it goes on, there we go. And I can't just do it this way. I'll just do this for now. Well, actually, no, I can't do that because the GPU is going to be here blocking everything. All right, and this is power switch. Oh boy, I'm going to have to look at how this goes. It'd be nice if there was a standard for front panel stuff. So power switch is right here. And then power LED plus and minus. Plus and minus are right next to it. Okay, at least they're close to each other. It'd be really annoying if they weren't. And where's that speaker? Here it is. Speaker. I'm going to put the PC speaker on there because I like hearing the beep. The speaker is these four, looks like. Hopefully that's right. And then this guy I got to pull back out. Do some cable management. Where are you? There you are. Oh, did I? You gotta be kidding. Did I put this? No. Ooh. Oh, sorry. I don't know what that was. Oh, well, there goes the speaker. Luckily, I have a spare somewhere, but we won't have the beep when we boot up this time. Sorry about that. Just broke the speaker pulling out the USB 3 header. Okay, so I'm going to do this instead. It'll be right here. And we're going to have to kink this cable a little bit, I think. Or I can pull it back over here. Cable management. I'm going to pull all these out for now. I'll fix this up later. Okay. We're going all the way back. I'm not going to show you the backside for now. If I get it clean, I might show it to you later. But for now, I'm just going to do this. Get that plugged in. Okay, and unlike XQC, we're not going to short pins by trying to jam a USB 3.2 Type-C connector in here the wrong way. All right, and this board has SATA, which is nice. Four ports still. So if I wanted to expand in this case, I can. Where did the front panel, the front case fans? They fell out somewhere. Oh, here they are. Okay. There's a case fan, chassis fan 3 header right here, so I'll put this in here. I think I got a text. Make sure that I'm not muted or something. Still working. Do it for science. Okay, I'll show you the backside. It's already looking bad, and we barely have this thing together. They already broke the speaker. But let's see, we got that. These guys kind of ready to go. And I'm going to need these power cables for the CPU. Technically, like I said, I only need the 8-pin, the 4x4. It's so dark. Yeah, let's see. The horn of a truck. That would be fun. And I like hockey, and it's nice to hear the hockey horn. Maybe I could get one of those train horns that they use at one of the hockey arenas. All right, so this end is CPU. So we're going to go up here. Actually, I need that exhaust fan too. So is there a fan header up here? No. This motherboard doesn't have an exhaust fan header up there. It's down here. Well, that's kind of annoying. Now I'm going to have this fan cable. I guess I could change. All right, I'll at least do this so that we don't have a cable hanging over that for those who dare thing or whatever. That was the wrong screw. What did I just unscrew? I don't know what this is. Oh, that's the PCI Express bracket for the vertical GPU mount, which I'll probably never do. Let's get this fan fixed. Do it right the first time, they say. Don't do it janky and then never fix it. I'm going to turn around this case fan, the exhaust fan, so that the cable is down here by the header instead of up here sticking out. Although I'm probably going to regret this later, because when I go to put in the graphics card, it's probably going to be like, oh look, there's a cable in my way. I can't plug in anymore because the thing is so ridiculously huge. Oh no, there's RGB. I'm going to forgo the RGB for now, maybe. We'll see. I'm going to put it like this. That way I can plug this guy in right here. Right here. Come on. There we go. All right. I'll probably regret that. We'll see. But I need to screw this back in now. Nope. I don't have this set right. All right. We should do another poll in live chat to see. Let's see. We'll do a poll. Do you think the fan cable will block the GPU? We'll see what people think, and then who's right. I'm screwing my fans. No, I'm not screwing you guys. I'm screwing in the fan. The exhaust fan. I actually bought this fan. I'm not an RGB person, but since I had some RGB, I was like, well, might as well go full RGB. And this is a Scythe. I don't remember what particular fan model it is, but it's quiet enough, and it has a little RGB LED in the middle. So I don't think it might be controllable. I'm not sure. But I do have the RGB control up here. Is there an RGB header on the motherboard up here? Oh, there is. Look at that. 12 volt RGB. Perfect. Okay, well, we can still do it then. It's right up at the top. It's one of these annoying 4-pin things. Like, it comes out if you look at it funny. That's what I hate about it. Oh, and I might as well plug in the CPU power while I'm sitting here. CPU 8-pin. There we go. And you know what? I'm going to live dangerously. I'm not going to put the other CPU 8-pin, or the 4-pin. What I did was this power supply has an 8-pin. It has two 8-pin CPU plugs. And you can plug it in. You could plug an 8-pin there to the 4-pin and have it dangling off the side, but I don't like dangling power pins too much, although this is the same thing. I found this adapter from an 8-pin to an 8-pin and 4-pin, and then I plug the 4-pin in. But we'll live dangerously here. And just use 8 instead of 12 power pins. I'm going to route this cable back behind the fan. And let's see, we can start working on the power supply itself. So let me get this off the bench top. Oh, these are thumb screws. I can just do these like so. That's another cool thing about this particular bench table is all these screws, they go in. I don't remember where these go in. They go in the side or something. I'll figure that out later. But you have all the screws stored. I think they're like this. So you have all the screws stored on the bench table itself. If you need an extra one, you just kind of unscrew it from the side. So very handy. What do they think of next? How's that poll going? Thank you, Jan, again. Pi 4 Model B and 1U of rack space. You have 4 of them. I mean, for me, if I have 4 Raspberry Pis, I like to mess around with them in cluster configurations. So one thing I've been doing lately is testing Ceph, and I have a project that I hope to get to in April that is going to be a lot of fun with Ceph on ARM computers, but maybe not a Raspberry Pi. But Ceph is something interesting to learn. It's not very fast on Pis, but you can learn it and apply that to other projects. Also running K3S and trying to run applications on it. Let's close this poll and see what people say. Okay, so most people are saying no, and looking closely, it does look like this cable should be out of the way. but I was thinking it would be, but I don't know. This motherboard is kind of cut here so that that cable can be there, I guess. But let me get this power supply installed. Fan intake on bottom. I'm gonna blow out the bottom here, just because whenever you have your PC open, it's nice to get dust out wherever you can. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way. We do not need it for a while. Let me get a drink too, wherever I put that, over here. Hey chat, hey Christoph. Also, I just did a short on this because it's not like a full video thing, but in my video about the LTT screwdriver, I mentioned that, you know, the bit holder is a lot nicer than having them rattling around inside the Williams. So it's a short, so a lot of people that watch long form and live streams and things don't watch shorts. So I'll just mention it here, but this is a 3D printed, about 10 cents a filament. You need a 3D printer, of course. But you can print this part and jam it into the lid, and now you have bit storage for this. It can hold up to 6 bits, and it just screws in. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't work in the, the snap-on screwdriver that this is kind of a clone of. That's because the inside of this is mostly round. The inside of the snap-on is mostly square, so it's a little bit tighter, and the tolerance is not good enough to fit 6 bits. Anyway, I thought that was a fun little modification, because now when you shake it, it doesn't rattle, unlike in the default state where it rattles like a baby toy. Timothy, delid a Pi and liquid metal. I do have a delidded Pi. It was a very accidental delidding. I was trying to take a heatsink off and took the Pi's heat spreader off. So don't do that. All right, let me get this together. Get the power supply screwed in. This is a 1200 watt tough power, Thermaltake tough power supply. The main reason I bought it is because it has the native ATX12 VO, I think this is, this weird connector for the graphics card. I just wanted to be super safe and not have to use the like 3-to-1 adapter. Oh, this screw's getting stripped. Let's try that again. It was just annoying to have to use that adapter cable, and I didn't want to have to do that unless I really had to. So I found this on a slight discount on Newegg and bought it. 1200 watts is a little bit overkill. You could probably get by with 800 to 1000 watts, but if I did want to do some more advanced overclocking, it's nice to have the headroom. So this guy is going to come up through the shroud. The motherboard and CPU need to come in back here. So I'm going to get this one, motherboard and CPU. What else do I need for the power supply? Was there anything else? I guess it was just these two for now. So these are like this. Oh man, that's tight. It's a little bit tighter than I was expecting. Ugh. All right. Got the motherboard and, oh, come on, bend. Oh. Okay, motherboard's in. Maybe I should have bent it a little more and used the grommet to give it a little more room, but if it fits, it ships. Here's the CPU. I'll plug that in right. Come on. Get in there. Yeah. Okay. And then this guy is going to come up through this shroud. I don't know. I always forget on this shroud if I need to go above on these. I can probably get them inside of the shroud too at some point if I want to, for a cleaner look, but for now I'll just leave them up there. Ooh, the shroud is kind of dusty. Let's get that off of there. And the shroud, you don't even need it to run, but it's nice to have. So I'll get this cable in through the shroud. I guess, is this the exact same on both ends? Yeah, it is. So this one, it doesn't matter which end you plug into the graphics card and which end you plug into the power supply. So I'm going to put this through here and come out here. Where's the plug for it? No, it's way over there. The 4 pins are on the bottom. Oh, is it going to go in? Or is it going to be finicky? Okay, there we go. And that one's also, that's the reason why some people are having fires. It's that connector is finicky. I hate that connector kind of. After using it a couple times now, it just doesn't feel like reliable and solid like I would like my connectors to feel. You know what? I'm just going to pop this cable through this hole underneath instead of having it come out here. Just make it look a little tidier. Let's see if I can do that. And make it go down and up like this. And look at that, it's so close to fitting. It could probably fit if I just yank it across, but I like to cable manage a little bit just to make it look nice. I won't do that. And put that guy in there now. Do that. Okay, that looks a little nicer. We can even pull this cable back a little bit. In fact, I could pull, I'll do this too, because it just looks nicer. Well, this come up from underneath too. It's going to be annoying because every time I want to pull the shroud off, I'll have to pull all these cables out. But in the name of making it look nice, we'll do it. There's the power switch, power LED minus, power LED plus. Okay, so those are in, that's in. Graphics card is ready. I want to do the M.2 10 gig card. So it's a little weird. It's a little bit weird. Anything interesting going on here? Yeah, Fire Festival. 2U gaming rig. That's in my office. So I have a video on that. I installed it in my office. This thing is going to live in here in the workshop. The workshop is where I do some of my more larger building projects. I'm also going to have my gaming monitor in here, so if I wanted to try games at more than 60 hertz, I could do it here. But I have some news on that front, hopefully coming later this year, in terms of studio space. But this is, let's see if this is focusing before I just start talking about it. So this is that M.2 Innodisk, I forget what it, EGPL-T101 or something like that, link in the description. This card has a little connector, a little flat connector here that you plug in that goes to this little port, which you can screw in to something. I don't have an adapter. I should probably make a PCI Express card slot adapter for this, so that it's not just hanging down inside the PC causing shorts. Maybe for now I'll just stick it out through that slot at the bottom. But this is a 10 gig RJ45 port. It'd be cool if they made like an SFP Plus adapter for this too, but that might cause too much power to be pulled. Not sure. But anyway, we're going to see if this works in here. This is totally kind of the wrong way to do this, and I need to actually grab one of my smaller Phillips screwdrivers for this. We're going to try to get it into this bottom slot. And like I said, I think on this motherboard, I don't know if you have to go in the BIOS to get this slot to work or not, but the bandwidth is between these two ports. I don't know if that means you can share the bandwidth somehow, like it has a switch internally, or if it's like you can either use this port or the bottom slot. Someone can mention that in chat and I'll take a look in a minute if they know on this particular motherboard. But I do like, so this motherboard, oh look at that, this is all smashed in from that screw, because this is made for up to 110 cards, which go out to here. But it has a pre-installed little standoff for a 2280 standard size. So, I don't know, that's a little strange. But anyway, I won't be able to fit this on top because this has that beefy heatsink and these large, I guess these are inductors for power, because it has to have all the Ethernet circuitry on this little card. So this guy's going to go bye-bye for now. We're going to try to get this guy to work. and it's M.2 E key, so it should work right there. We'll see. And then I need to get this cable set up. I believe it's this way. I hope. Is it double-sided? No, it's single-sided. But I think that the pins are on the top. I'm going to try to get this in here. Okay, that clicked in. And then we're going to put this in here. And the pins are on the top on this. I got a good connection there. And I should have put this through first before I connected it, so hold on. It has two different mounting setups. You can, I guess, put 2 screws through here and put it like this, or it has 2 screws on the front. So what I'm going to try to do is either 3D print or machine out, like cut out a slot for this in a PCI Express slot cover, because that way I can have it, I could just have it back here like this. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to plug it in and leave it dangling out the back, just so it doesn't cause a short. Leave it dangling right by the power plug. And these wires are teeny tiny, doing 10 gig Ethernet, so you know that's probably not great to have it rubbing against this too much, but for now we're going to do this. Later on I'll try to figure out a better mounting solution. All right, so I got that. Graphics card is ready to be installed. Is there anything else? I got the RGB. Are there any other fans? I got this fan and these fans. Let me check the backside here. Wiring is a bit janky, but that's okay for now. I'll do a little magic cable management really quick, just to make it not look too bad. Okay. Ooh. And then I'll show it to you, and you can be the judge of what is too bad, what is not bad. Oops, I completely forgot this cable, so I got to redo these two. Okay. I think I asked in chat if anybody knew about the motherboard issue. So let's see. What's on the left? Chat is slow scroll. Yeah, I set this to 10 seconds just because some people do. Insane. So this is not $700. This is, unfortunately, as with everything else. So, you know, people are always like, oh my gosh, Raspberry Pi is so evil for charging people more money. It's like Raspberry Pi's MSRP is the same, and they're making as many as they can. And yes, they are prioritizing business customers, but the reality is a lot of the industry, PC parts, SBCs, components, is still going through the problems. And yeah, I mean, everybody has a right to be angry about it, but you know, this particular card, that 10 gig NIC, is supposed to be $180, which is expensive. I mean, you can get a used Mellanox Connect X for a lot less than that, but it's the shortage. They can't produce enough because it's hard to get all the components for it. I actually asked the company, one of the resellers, about it, and they said it's like 3 to 6 months at least before more come in. So I had planned on doing a test with it earlier, but I was like, I'm waiting for it to become available, and it never really got available. So I'm doing it now, and sadly, it's hard to get them, just like everything else. So like I said, it's, you know, Raspberry Pi, could they prioritize education and consumers more? Yeah, but is everybody in the industry having that problem still? Pretty much, unless you're Apple and have billions of dollars to throw at it. You know, Apple just said that they're gonna consume like all of the manufacturing capacity of TSMC's 3 nanometer node. Like, if you don't have $100 billion to throw at TSMC, you're not going to get the production. And everything else all the way down is like that still. So I'll show you the backside. It's not the best I've ever done, but it's actually not too bad. It's getting heavier now. There. Ta-da! Yeah, there's a few cables hanging out, but it's okay. As long as the back cover goes on, it should be okay. Not missing any screws, that's good. I'm going to do this before we turn it on. I'm just going to say it's going to work. Famous last words. I mean, it worked on the open bench table. It didn't change anything. Let's do another fun little pull here. Will it post on first boot? Let's see what people think. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? How long have we been going? We're just about to 60 minutes. That's not too bad. Yeah, cable management is an art. When I get some of the things that I've gotten, even little SBC projects, the cable management is beautiful. I mean, I didn't take much time to design the way that the cables go in here, so that's part of the problem. I also have the drivers for this thing on this little USB flash drive. And this is a USB 2.0 flash drive. I got like 10 of them for $5 or something. I remember back in the day, these were like everywhere. So I guess whoever makes them is like, we're just gonna make millions of them. But this was the only way I could get the BIOS flashback to work on the motherboard. And I couldn't get their Easy Flash utility to work either, with that or with 3 other flash drives. Okay, so this guy we don't need. You know what I didn't do? I didn't put in the motherboard bracket for the graphics card. The graphics card is like super heavy. So I'm gonna get that out really quick. I don't want the graphics card to break anything here. It's just ludicrous. Look at this. So as proof, I bought this thing. I didn't get, unlike some people, I didn't get it given. Oh, let me make sure there's nothing bad on here. Yeah, it's okay. Jeff Geerling, yeah, anyway. Yeah, I bought this thing. It was $1,700. It's ridiculous. $1,700. I mean, yes, it is the best graphics card a consumer can buy right now, but that's just absurd. The pricing, the size, everything about it. I don't recommend people buy the 4090. I don't know. I mean, if you're like a 4K, 120 hertz insane gamer, sure, I guess, but that's just ridiculous to me. And just to give you a reference, this is the power connector it comes with. They want you to put this into the card and then have these things hanging down on the side. It's just crazy. But it comes with this bracket too. So I'm going to try to install this bracket and try to figure it out without looking at any documentation. I might have to look at documentation. This is more complicated than I thought it would be. There's angles to it. Let's check this out. Let's see if Gigabyte has an actual guide for this thing. It does. Look at that. Wow, a company actually has a printed guide. The anti-sag bracket. So it comes with all these things. Oh boy, you got to do standoffs and stuff. Oh, that's annoying. All because this GPU weighs far too much and is far too big. Oh, these little things are stuck everywhere. Oh, this is annoying. I could clip this part of the stream. Graphics cards are out of control at this point. I guess you could water cool it and make it a little bit less insane, but then you have a whole water cooling setup in here. So this says to put the bracket. You know what? This is too much for the stream. I'm going to do this later, and we're going to figure that out later and hope that the GPU just doesn't rip the socket off the board. Press F in chat for the motherboard if it does rip the socket off, because it's so ridiculously heavy. All right. We'll do that later. What are all these screws for? Oh, I have this. I have to put this back on. I don't need to put on these screws, and it's a silly idea because I'm probably going to have to go back in here anyway. But I'll do it. I don't like having screws hanging off. Now, what are these for? Oh, these are for these cards, slots. So put this one back on for now. And we got to put the graphics card in. So let's see. Anything I missed? Yes, F. They're effing because I'm about to stick this graphics card in without the support bracket. This thing is probably at least 2.5 pounds. I don't know. I'm trying to compare it to a bag of Twizzlers. A standard size American bag of Twizzlers is about 1 pound. This feels like over 2 bags of Twizzlers. That's my unit of measurement. I don't use bananas. Oh no, this USB 3. Oh gosh, the cable's on the way here. Okay, let's see if we can get this in. Get this slot in, and up, push. Okay, before I let go, I want to put a screw in. Because I don't want it to be all supported by the slot. Oh no, it fell off. The LTT magnet's not that strong. Okay, so we have a screw in. Do I have something that'll fit right here? I could put is, it's not big enough. Oh, what else could I stick in there? I just want to support it because that's a lot of weight. You know what's funny? This is a 4-slot graphics card, but it only has a 2-slot cover. I need to get my other slot cover and stick it back in there again. You see how much this is sagging? It's actually not quite as bad as I thought it would be, but here's the kicker. Can I plug this in? Which it's upside down. Oh man, it doesn't, it flexes less this way than this way. So that's going to be fun. I might not be able to put the side panel on until I get that 90-degree adapter. Oh man, to plug that in, you have to push so hard. Oh, this is terrible. They should have put the power connector over here, so when you're pushing against a supported area. I was pushing and it's this open space just jamming against the everything. Oh, I hate that, man. I'll run it like this. We'll see if that works out okay. Do I have so I have that plugged in. Let's get this angled a little bit to look cool in its gamer stance. I'm gonna have to pull this back off and put another slot cover on there. There's Wi-Fi. I might not have, no, I have the drivers on here, so I'm gonna stick this in. We'll see if the front panel connector works. I'm gonna stick it in on there, and we'll see if this works out. Let me grab, don't need Wi-Fi right now. All right, monitor. Yeah, the 4090 liquid cooled. You could do that if you wanted. Let's get this monitor going. This is just an MSI 144 Hertz 1080p monitor. Not the best thing in the world, but I've had it in here for testing anything that needs more than 60 Hertz. All right. I hope that's on. And you know what? I don't have a DisplayPort cable on hand. I might need to go grab one. So let me go do that. Ha, Jay's 2 cents. Should critique this. I don't want to have an actual PC builder do that. Yeah, and you know what? Another funny story is I was going to go 7900 XTX on here, the graphics card. I bought it, and I have a blog post up linked in the description again. That card, when it runs this way horizontally, when the card is horizontal and the computer's vertical, it would overheat and the fans would go insane and it would throttle. If you run it flat, it doesn't throttle. So there was a whole controversy about that. Whatever. I bought the card, tested it out, found the problem, and returned it, and now, you know, 4090. But this 4090 probably won't live in here for long. I have another project for it. I'm going to go back and get a DisplayPort cable. So you can still hear me, but you cannot see me right now. Sorry about that. Oh wow, my other computer in my office is playing the live stream, so you might hear me twice now. Oh wow, my other computer in my office is... There, let me mute that. Okay. And going in my cable box, there's DVI, VGA, DisplayPort. Here we go. All right. And Jeff in stereo. I was invisible. So Dodrian or Dadrian, however you pronounce your username, is onto something there. DisplayPort. Which way is it? There we go. And let's get this cable plugged in here. DisplayPort. I have 10 gigs. I'll plug that in after we get the driver installed. Where's the power cable? Somewhere up here. No, that's the 4090. And the power supply, since it's 1200 watts, that's reaching the limits of what a North American outlet can output if you have a 15 amp circuit. 15 amps could do something around, 1500 watts, or 1200 watts is probably about the max I'd ever draw safely. All these circuits down here are 20 amps, but 20 amps at 120 volts nominal. So this cable is very thick to be able to do that. And so I need to massage it a little bit so it will bend and get all the way down to the floor. So fingers crossed that we don't release magic smoke when I switch on the power supply. No, we didn't. That's good. What's it going to be used for? Right now, for testing some components that I need, a faster motherboard, faster CPU, faster RAM, and all that. Like I said at the beginning of the video, things that I'm going to do some really ridiculous and crazy things with some of that hardware, I want to make sure that it performs as it should in a kind of reference system, so a normal system that's high-end, before I start doing weird things to it and saying, oh, this thing doesn't actually work that well. I want to know if it actually does work that well, and then do weird things, and then make a good conclusion based on that. So, let's see. Yeah, it would be a nice space heater. We've had a few cold days still afterwards. So I have RGB on here. That's a good sign. This RAM is not RGB RAM, which I don't care about. This cooler should, I hope, work okay in this build. Let's press power. And let me turn on the keyboard and mouse too. So that's on. Trackpad, I should say. Okay. Yeah, that's something annoying on this GeForce Gigabyte overclock edition or whatever. Instead of like RGB that's on, the fans like do this blinking thing when they're running. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm gonna have to look at if there's a way to override that. So the motherboard, another thing, if you're building a new AM5 system with a, I guess this is a 7000 series CPU, 7900X. This motherboard has LEDs for debugging, which is nice. I'd rather have the little display, but that's on motherboards that cost a lot more. Right now there's a white LED, and it's so bright I can't see it. It's on VGA right now. But the first time you boot this thing, it always does a bunch of weird things, and it takes a while. So there's VGA, since it's so bright I can't even see it. VGA, boot, DRAM, and CPU. If the CPU light is red, that might mean your CPU is not installed correctly. If the RAM is red, or if the RAM is yellow, it's training the RAM, so that takes a while sometimes. Oh, and I'm seeing, so let me turn this off. I'm seeing an issue here already. Let's shut this back down. Okay, so I saw that this RAM is unseated. DDR5 RAM is getting to the point where the memory is like so fast that even the traces in the motherboard can cause flakiness, interference can cause flakiness. So it's important to, that RAM training takes a long time to make sure the RAM is all seated correctly, the CPU pins are all correct, everything's correct, and it can be easy to mess something up there. So let's try this again. And I didn't see, you can mention in chat if you saw anything show up on the screen. I wasn't looking at that. So right now it's yellow. That means it's doing the RAM training, testing it out and everything. And that always takes like 5 or 10 seconds. And it's funny, I can even hear a little bit of coil whine. You probably can't hear that. So now the CPU is red, but I'm pretty sure that's typical. Now the VGA is white. I don't remember it staying white on the VGA before. Oh, now there's a green light on boot. Okay. Fans are ramping up. The VGA is still white though. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know what that means. And my eyes, from looking at that white VGA, there's like a spot right in the middle of my eyesight that can't see. First boot failed. End pull. So if 78% said yes, it'll post. It hasn't done that. I got a white LED. What is going on here? I wonder if it's that this M.2 drive on the bottom. It has a red LED on it. Let me show you. This is going to be risky. I'm going to move the camera with the plug in it. Ooh, boy. I haven't done this yet, but hopefully the cable, the Sony camera has a terrible connector. But anyway, you can see that that guy has a red LED, so it has power at least. And then up here, it's going to be hard to see that, but see the white LED there. So yeah, and it looks nice. It looks pretty cool in here, but I don't know what that is. I'm going to try to plug into the onboard graphics and see if that does anything different here. And turn off that. Okay. What is chat saying? Any good tips here? Hopefully the GPU is not dead. Reseat the GPU. Yeah. Yeah, if only I had the beep code. So I do have another speaker, but it's buried somewhere in a box. So I'm not going to go try digging that out right now. So let's turn this back off. Someone said reseat the GPU. We'll try that. Yeah. Of course, I got to unplug everything and replug it. And if that doesn't work, I'll actually, you know, just to make sure that everything else is good, I should switch off power. Just to make sure everything else is good too, I'm going to pull the graphics card. Oh, look at this. The Linus Tech Tip screwdriver's having trouble getting in here. So that is one time when it can be a little bit annoying. But that's why I also have the X-Lite screwdrivers, which are a little narrower. And I have a set of Gamers Nexus screwdrivers. But sometimes the shaft on here is just too thick to fit into a tight space like that. So let's press the button on here. Yeah, it's so big and heavy. Oh, there's another screw that's in the way here. Let's get that one off. Oh, gosh. There goes that one. Okay, and it's still plugged in, so let me unplug that. Ah. All right, I'm going to plug this into the motherboard while I'm holding the GPU in one hand. And I'm going to set this back down. We'll try you again later. Now let's try this. Power. Power. Okay, so the RAM is orange there, and I saw this changed. Funny thing is the fans are all 100% right now, which it wasn't doing that last time. Anything else in chat? This isn't quite the first boot though. Remember, I had this running on that benchtop, so yeah. Oh, we got something. And for those who are wondering, so let me go here. The people who voted in the poll, were they correct or were they not correct? Let's see. They were. I think it was like 60% or something said Ubuntu. So for now, that's what I'm doing, mostly because the drivers are more certified on Ubuntu than on other operating systems. That's the only reason. I actually am running Fedora on a couple other computers right now, and I'm thinking of switching over to it more, but the problem is that Ubuntu has the enterprise support for AMD and NVIDIA and other companies. So we'll go into Ubuntu and see what happens. I love how Ubuntu and other OSs always have, like, there's just still some text output. Like, for me, I don't care, but it's like for somebody that is like, oh, I'm going to try out this Linux thing. The first time they boot, they see all these random things. Like now, this is stuff from NVIDIA's driver that's messing up, but it's just annoying and weird to me as somebody who wants to advocate for Linux when you see that kind of stuff. So somebody could probably go in and see what my password is by playing back my keystrokes there. But this is working fine, so let me shut this back down. Actually, before we do that, let's get this this card tested. So I'm going to go USB. You know what I'll do is I can zoom this in on the screen so you can see what I'm doing. So I have the drivers up on that guy. That's the little USB stick. And I'm going to try, we'll see if it works. I'm going to try to get this card working. So here's the Linux driver, extract here. Is this it, I guess? Oh boy, how's the installation going? Oh, I don't want to manually build it right now. Oh man, this is fun. So, oh, okay. Software updater. No, I don't need that right now. You know what? We might boot into Windows and try it on Windows for now, just because I don't want to spend time compiling the driver. So I'm going to try power off. Get a drink and check chat really quick. And somebody's working on a new media server with Ubuntu. Display priority. So, but the thing is, I had it running on this graphics card. I'm not going to do the graphics card yet. Got to focus on one thing at a time. So we're going to try, oh, and it's still zoomed in. So let's zoom out really quick. Zooming back out. There we go. I'm not going to plug the graphics card back in yet. I'm going to go into Windows first, just because I think it has just a quick, like, one-click installer. Motherboard did DRAM. Now it's on red CPU. Someone in chat did mention, like, it takes forever to boot up the first time on an AMD 7000 series AM5 board. And that's true. The first time I booted this, I think it restarted itself 2 or 3 times, and it took maybe 5 or 6 minutes. So if you're setting up a system the first time, definitely watch out for that. Come on, Windows 11. Okay, so let's zoom back in on the screen. We'll check and see if this thing will work this time. Sorry about the color balance being off, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Where's my little USB? There it is. Windows. How do I extract it? I want to extract this file. Here we go. Extract all. Okay. Windows driver. Installer. What is the difference? x64. Oh, so there's 64-bit and 32-bit. It's funny, it still includes 32 bits in this day and age. Install. I don't know what that said, but whatever. Marvell. Sure, do whatever you want. Finish. Okay. So now, is this zoomed out still? No, it's not. All right, so I have in this workshop, I ran a 10 gig. I just have a wire over here. My plan is to put in a small network switch on a little wall rack at some point. Just because running one giant beefy cable like this is kind of annoying and silly. But this goes back to a 10 gig port on my main switch. And plug this in and hope it doesn't short out anything. It's just hanging off by those delicate little connectors. I see lights. There are lights on the port. So now let me see in Windows. Zoom back in so you can see. There we go. So it's showing a network connection here. Let's see what it says. Oh, I hate Windows 11 is so annoying. Like I want to, there's a wired display. I want to see I don't care about Wi-Fi right now. I want my wired network. How do I get to it? Oh, you have to right click and then there's one option. I don't understand Windows 11 at all. Everything is dumb about it. Let's see, Ethernet. At least they now have all the information on this main screen. You don't have to click in a setting. So 10 gigs. Let's go to, do I have in downloads? I don't have it yet. Let me download, what is it called? iPerf 3. Oh, you see that? I don't know if you noticed that. When oh, like here, see this? with the integrated graphics on the 7900X, I keep getting this in Firefox. I didn't notice it in Edge that much, but it's like little artifacts. See this? It's crazy. I don't understand what's going on. I think the iGPU is either screwed up on my chip or just the driver is screwed up in general right now. But anyway, I need to download iPerf3. So I'm going to grab it. We're going to see if this is getting 10 gigs through that M.2 slot. Download iPerf313 and expand it. Extract. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to PowerShell. Oh, I don't have it set up. PowerShell. And I'm going to keep this in here. Pinned to taskbar. And cd downloads iPerf3. iPerf. I know that you don't use cd in PowerShell, but I'm a Linux guy. So let's see. /iperf3.exe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do -s for server. Allow. Okay, so I'm going to start the server here. I'm going to run into my office. Actually, I don't know what the IP address is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the server in my office on my 10 gig Mac Studio. We'll see if we can pump through 10 gigabits on this little NIC. So, well, I mean, you can use CD in PowerShell, but you don't have to. It's not native. I think CD is, let's see, iPerf3-s. CD is the Linux way, and they aliased it to, what is it, dir, D-I-R? I don't know, maybe PowerShell finally changed its defaults to not use silly Windows-isms. Let's see, so I'm going to turn off the server here. iPerf3-c 10.0.100.15. What? Oh, I'm not on Linux, I'm on Windows. And I'll do /. Okay. Ooh, we're not getting 10 gigs, that's for sure. 4.4, so I'm wondering if that's only giving me like one lane of PCIe Gen 4 or what. I don't know if that's something in Device Manager. Let me try doing reverse. So this is sending traffic back to it from my Mac, and that's getting faster. That's interesting. I wonder if that, I have to look up the specs on the, what is it? Innodisk EGPL-T101. That's funny, it's the first result suggestion in Google, so a lot of people are looking for this thing. Maybe all you guys on chat today. So it's saying 3.0 by 2. So what is Windows? I'm less familiar with Windows, but isn't there, oh gosh, this trackpad is terrible. Did you see that? It did it again. It just, like, things get distorted. It's like maybe there's a gremlin in my system. See that? But oh, no, that's right. I don't know. Yeah, see that? It's so weird. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Device Manager, is that still? Yeah. And then network adapters. So Marvell Fastlane Q 10 gig. Properties. PCIe bus 4. Does it show anything about the PCI Express driver details? What is this? Hardware IDs? You know, I wonder if that's a BIOS setting. Cancel. Let's see it. I'm going to look in chat because usually whenever I'm doing something dumb, people in chat tell me what it is. Blame Windows. Yeah. Yeah, James. Yeah, it should be $170 or so. But on Amazon right now, somebody is scalping it for $700. It's insane. It's the chip shortages. So Windows doesn't show you anything about the PCIe connection? That's so dumb. Why would Windows? I don't understand why you use Windows for anything but, I guess, playing games that are not compatible with Linux. But some people use Windows. I guess people aren't that dumb. I don't know. Oh, this one's on .12. That's weird. Usually my new devices are up in the hundreds. All right, let me close this out. Quit Steam. I'm going to shut it down and we'll try going into BIOS. Shut down. I'll stay zoomed in on the screen so that you can see what's going on. All right. I think it's delete, but it might be F2. I'll just hit them both. Keep mashing the keys. We'll get it somehow. Still doing RAM. Now it's back to CPU. And there's a decent amount of coil line on this motherboard. I don't know about that. Now it's on boot green. Here we go. Delete or F2. Okay, so it's either one. All right, so I need to go to advanced, F7. So where would it be under advanced maybe? PCI subsystem? No. Advanced PCI subsystem settings. Is there anything else? No. Oh, NVMe maybe? That's just the main drive. Onboard devices. Oh, here we go. It says auto. Bifurcation. That's on the main slot, I think. Yeah, that's on the main slot. So I'll go here and I'll say just do it to that one. Link speed. M.2 by 3 mode. So that's a Gen 3 card, so I'm going to do this and then in chat tell me if I'm wrong to do that, just to force it into Gen 3 mode. And then I'm going to go into Linux and check this thing, because this is ridiculous that Windows can't tell you how a PCI Express device is connected. All right, exit, save changes, and reset. So switching this to force it to that slot, I mean, auto should work fine. It seemed like it was working. And then link mode to Gen 3. I would imagine that's Gen 3 by 4. I think that's how it is set up on this motherboard, but maybe it's only Gen 3 by 1, and that's why we're getting half the bandwidth. But Gen 3 by 1, I guess Gen 3 by 1 would only be, that'd only be 5 gigabits? I don't remember. Let's see. Did the wrong slot. So I know on this motherboard, the top slot is PCIe Gen 5, and that's going to have the most bandwidth, but I have the NVMe drive in there. The second slot I can't do because if I put the GPU on top, that heatsink blocks it. And you guys can't see anything I'm doing right now. So let me go back to that. Second slot is PCIe Gen 4 by 4, I believe, and this one is PCIe Gen 4 by 4 as well, but I just kicked it down to Gen 3. I don't see anything in the messages there. But I put it on here because this heatsink sticks out just enough that the GPU won't install on top of it, as far as I can tell. So let's go into Ubuntu and check this out. And I'll zoom back in on here. There we go. Look at that jammin' jellyfish. I think that's what it's called. Let's check. Let's make this bigger. Where's properties? Is it here? Preferences. Okay, never mind. Oh, here we go. No, where's font? I'm gonna make this font bigger. How is it easier to make the font bigger on Raspberry Pi? Custom font. And do 16. Select. Oh gosh, now we're very big. All right, LSPCI. So where's our guy here? Kioxia. Ethernet controller. That's Intel. Wait, where's my little guy? Where'd he go? Is it MediaTek? Network control MediaTek. Okay, so LSPCI-VVVV. Let's try this again. Sudo. Let's get all the info. All right, AMD. I forget what the shortcut is to get to one particular device, so I'm just scrolling through everything. AMD. We're gonna get there. Scrolling. The reason why this is scrolling so choppy is because this trackpad is not good at all. Like I said, I only use this for like debugging. Here we go. MediaTek device. So link capability 5 gig transfer 1 by 1? What? This shouldn't be, it says 2.5 to 5. I wonder if this board is actually just lying about its specs. It says it's PCIe Gen 3 by 3 or something. I don't remember what it said. That's the device, right? MediaTek? Am I being dumb? Maybe. A Quancha. I know it, I thought it was. MediaTek. Yeah, it should be a Quancha though, I thought. The 4090 is not installed right now, so let's see. Okay, a Quancha. Oh, here, a Quancha. Okay, so this is the thing. Sorry about that. So link capability, 8 gigatransfers by 2. Link status, 8 gigatransfers by 2. Okay, so on Ubuntu it might work. Let me restart back into Windows. Maybe Windows is just that bad at networking. I don't know. I mean, we did switch this, so I'm going to give Windows another chance here. I'm going to give Windows one more chance to work with this little card. We'll see. Come on. Still doing the RAM. Yeah, if you want a computer that boots quickly, don't buy current generation AMD 7000 series. It's going to take a while. It's like a server. I mean, if you work with servers, you know how insanely long it takes to boot. When you have like 128 gigs of RAM, it sits there for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then it brings up your SAS controllers and all that kind of stuff. So that's what it feels like with this machine, compared to like a Mac Studio where I press the power button and like 5 seconds later it's on and I can do stuff. Okay, so let's try this again. I don't know. Why is it updating Steam? That's dumb. Stop. I want to go to PowerShell. iPerf. Okay. iPerf3.exe. Now, if this doesn't give me 10 gigabits, then I think Windows is silly. What? It's slower. You got to be kidding. I put it to PCIe Gen 3. All right, well, I give up on Windows. Windows is dumb. Windows is better for a couple games in multiplayer that don't work on Linux. That's about it. I'm going to shut this down and try the graphics card one more time. And if it works, then we'll conclude that. And I'm going to have to debug this card a little more, because I should be able to get more than that out of it. More than 5 gigabits. All right, let's zoom back out. We'll try this again. Turn off that focus. I'm going to get a drink. Where did I put it? There it is. Grab a quick drink here. Yeet Windows, yes. Elias asks if you're sure. I mean, well, that's the thing. Maybe the card has duped us all. It says it gets 10 gigs. But, I mean, online it says it's a 10 gig card. I didn't see in the marketing if it says it gets 10 gigs. But let's see. The Dark Rock 4, this cooler is enough if you're not overclocking the 7900X. And I actually have mine on Eco mode. I set it to 105 watt TDP because I'm more interested. The crazy thing is, so AMD makes this 7000 series CPUs. They make them use so much power, and I found out on idle, this thing will use 105 watts, not doing anything. 105 watts, the system. And you know, this PSU is a little overpowered, so yeah, it's burning a few more watts, but 105 watts on idle with the default settings. If I go into Eco mode in the BIOS and set it to 105 watt TDP, it uses like 50 watts. That's like half the power, because the CPU is sitting there. I don't know what it does. It got 95% of the same performance in Cinebench, in, I forget what other benchmarks I ran, Geekbench and a couple other things. It got 95% of the same performance using half the power. That's insane, and I don't know why they don't just have Eco mode on by default, because they could, I don't know. If they're really going for efficiency, then they should do that. Yeah. No, it was, I mean, I tried in Windows and Linux, and the CPU was like less than 1% activity. I don't know. I mean, maybe I have a bad CPU. That was on the old BIOS. I didn't retest it on the latest BIOS. So I will say that maybe the BIOS has some updates, but anyway, it's also nice to use a smaller cooler like this that doesn't suck up as much power with 2 fans if you can. And the 7900X runs just fine at 105 watts TDP and gets me tons of performance. Why are you not going in? Okay, there we go. All right, it's definitely seated nicely in there. Oh, I'm gonna let it hang for a second. Oh, there's no magnet on this screwdriver. I'm getting so used to the LTT one, I forget when I'm using my regular one, it's not magnetic. And it does fit in here if I angle it, but it rubs against the side of the case, so this is getting really sharp and jaggy. So I'll use this guy the old-fashioned way, no ratcheting. Okay, we're going to try this again. Oh, I hate that connector. You have to push so hard. Okay, it is seated nicely. Like it's in there. I can see the slot. I can see that it's in there. I'm going to turn this thing on and see what happens. It's funny, when I have the graphics card plugged in, when I turn it on, you can hear a pop. Like, pop. That's how much power it sucks down. So it's doing RAM on the motherboard up here. I'll bring this over. You can see. Ooh, the camera's getting hot. So see that RAM, then the CPU, that's the red one. And VGA, there we go. This time it worked. So maybe it was just seating the graphics card correctly. Of course, I'm plugged into the wrong slot now. Oh, crud, now the computer's gonna think I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into the internal connector. Will it actually let me switch between them? That's the question here. Those were Linux graphics on boot up. They're supposed to impress me. I guess if you're looking for the hacker cred or whatever. All right, I'm going to try plugging in here. Will it automatically switch? No. Nope, there we go. Okay, so we're plugged in the graphics card. Let's pop over to here. Now my keyboard's not, there we go. Nope. What is going on here? Why is this, what? What? Why, what is going on? Are we getting interference from something? Suddenly my keyboard is not working. Well, that's annoying. Or Ubuntu is locked up for some reason. Press F for Ubuntu. Maybe I should have done Arch or Fedora. Let's try this again. Off. What do we got? No, I have the NVIDIA drivers loaded onto Ubuntu already. It's not the driver issue. This system was running fine on the test bench in both Ubuntu and Windows. I had never tested the little 10 gig card down there. So that's the first time for that. And I'm gonna have to spend some time checking out, maybe I'll do a full review of it and see, is it actually worth $700? Probably not if it can't get 10 gigs. But PCIe Gen 3x2 should, maybe it only gets like 8 gigs, but still it should be getting like 6 or 8 gigs. It shouldn't get 4 or 5. I don't know if that's Windows or what. Why are we not booting here? It's doing that VGA thing again. I don't know, maybe this is, maybe installed inside the chassis. It's an unstable configuration, but now I'm getting this annoying VGA thing. Maybe there is some weird issue here, because when I booted up last time, I was plugged into the motherboard plug and not into the graphics card. So these are the fun things about building your own PC that make it always such a delight compared to, you know, There's a reason why I use a Mac Studio for my main workstation. You buy the thing, you plug it in, and it works for years, and then you sell it for like 50 to 60% of your original purchase price and get another one, put it in, it works for 5 or 6 years. It's not the case here with the latest and most expensive everything, almost the most expensive. It's the 7900X. But yeah, we're getting nothing. Let me try switching it on the fly here. No. And I don't have a reset switch, so every time I want to switch, I either have to turn off power and turn it back on. I'm just going to see this, because this is kind of weird. Let's do in the RAM. Let's see. Maybe the card is pulling. No, the slot is not broken on this motherboard. At least I hope not. Maybe it is now. The slot was broken on the old motherboard. Somebody had yanked a graphics card out of it without releasing it. So CPU red. It's funny, I can hear the coil line and the different modes. There, see? So if I have a display plugged into this card on boot, it gets stuck on the white VGA LED. If I plug it into the motherboard on boot, it's fine. Let me go to Windows here. It's fine, and then I can switch it to the card. So that'd be a really annoying way to use a computer, to have to plug in the display differently on every boot. Let's see if I plug this in here. Will I get display output? Any opinions in chat? Yes, I do have the 2U PC that's over in my office. This is staying over here for now. No, so the network cable is plugged into this M.2 NIC on the bottom. It's not plugged into the back motherboard port, which is 2.5 gigs, just to be clear. So there's a BIOS setting for the primary display output. I could check that. Let Ian on your stream. Tech Potato to the rescue. I was going to wear my Tech Potato shirt, but I didn't. Go subscribe to his channel. A lot of fun videos there too. I did. So I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I spent hours flashing this motherboard to the latest BIOS version, and it's definitely up to date. Broken 7900 XTX. I had a broken one too. Well, it worked, but it overheated, so I returned it. You eat turtles. Yeah. Oh, there's Tech Potato. He's at the shops right now. Well, go back home and sit there and watch this thing. I'm going to be wrapping up soon anyway. Let's see. Maybe it does expect a monitor plugged in there. So Windows did come up. Let's go in here. Let's check. I just want to make sure that we're getting the right performance here. So I'll just do I have Combustor on here? No, I don't. I still have Ryzen Master on here because I was trying to get the Eco mode working through Ryzen Master, but it didn't because the BIOS was out of date. And even with the new BIOS, Ryzen Master won't let me change into Eco mode. I have to do that in the BIOS, so I don't know, that's weird. But let's make sure that this is all, let's make sure the GPU is giving me the performance I expect and not less. Okay, 600 frames per second, that's right. Quit this. I can make my UPS cry when I do that, when I'm plugged into my main office UPS. That's the other reason why this computer's moving out here, is because I have 20 amp circuit out here. I think the one in the office might be 15 amp, and I have a UPS that only lets you do 1000 watts. So, so BIOS, let's reboot and check that. I don't know why I went around behind it. That just probably means I need to eat some food. Let's shut down. It's a good time to wrap up because here in St. Louis, it's 12:19. It's a good time for lunch. So let's check that. And then I think after that, we can call it weird. I won't call it successful. And it probably won't boot without it plugged in there. So let me move that. If your theory is right, whoever said that in the live chat. If your theory is right, then it won't boot without a monitor plugged into there unless I change the priority of the video output. So CPU is red, and we're getting something here. Okay, VGA, and then Now it's on boot, so it's going to boot up. That's the hope. All right, so you're saying video, let's see, function F7. Like it seems like something that should be automatic. It should be like, oh, there's a graphics card. I'm going to switch to it. It seems insane that you'd have to, if you install a graphics card, you'd have to change something in BIOS to make it use it. But I've seen stranger things. Nothing there. Nothing in AI tweaker. That's for overclocking or underclocking. So like I said, if I go to, where is it? Expo is set on DDR5 6000, I think profile 1, which is working okay. Where was Eco mode? I don't remember where that is. Is it in PBO? Eco mode, yeah. So see, I have this set to 105 watt TDP. You can set it to 170, or auto sets it to 170. That just eats up power. You can even turn it down a bit more, but anyway, 105 watt gives me 50 watt idle power draw, which is about the same as my old board. But you're saying, so GPU, is there anything not in there? I'm going to go through here, and if somebody sees something, post it in chat and then spam it in chat so I can find what it is. Nothing there. Boot. Boot configuration. Fast boot enabled. Fast boot. It's not very fast. NVMe driver. Setup mode, easy mode. So those are the boot sticks, boot options. No? I don't see anything that would have to do with the video. What are people saying in chat? Is there something? Why would anyone underclock? Because I don't want to burn up millions of dollars, not millions, but I don't want to burn up like 150 bucks a month of power just running this PC. That's just crazy. So, I mean, my Mac Studio in my office, this is another reason why I use a Mac for my main workstation. It uses like 4 watts or 5 watts at idle. That's almost nothing. Compared to this thing, which at the lowest I can get it is like 35 to 40 watts at idle. This old system I could get down to about 30 watts. That's, I mean, if you add that up, if you're running it 24/7 for some reason, that's a lot of power. And if you're over in Europe, that's a lot of money. Here in the US, in some parts of the US at least, it's not that much money. Advanced System Agent Graphics, let's check. So advanced, I don't see anything about System Agent. Onboard devices, bifurcation, USB audio, let's switch to that. LED lighting, power delivery, link speed, and that's where we set Gen 3. I'm going to set this back to auto for now, and then I'll do some more debugging later. But I don't see anything in here. Anybody else? Somebody, yeah, somebody, Thiago, sorry about your last name. It's awesome to see you live. Yeah, awesome is awesome. Ansible is awesome. Open source is awesome. You're welcome. Advanced onboard devices, PCI. Disable fast boot, onboard devices, PCI. I'm going to try that, and if it doesn't work, so advanced onboard devices, PCIe. I mean, there's bifurcation, but we don't need that. It's on auto. I mean, yeah, auto should be fine for the card. It should give me full by 16. And that's LED. Link speed, link mode. I mean, I could set this to Gen 4 automatically, but I think the motherboard should work. So I'm going to leave that. Someone else said to do not fast boot mode. Where was that? Did somebody post where that was? Give it a good old slap. Yeah. Disable secure boot. Sagging is, I mean, but it's working fine, and it was giving me full performance. So I'm less concerned about that. I mean, that's something to check for more debugging later, but I don't see anything in here. Where was the boot configuration? Fast boot. I'm going to turn it off. That's the last thing I'm going to try for now. Disabled. Exit. Save. Okay, we'll try that. I don't know if I'm zoomed in or out right now. I'm zoomed in. And it's all blurry because it doesn't see a screen. All right, so I did that. Now it's doing RAM training. I'm going to unplug it and plug it in over here. So now it's on CPU red. You can't see it because, of course, okay, that time it looks like it's going to boot. So you can see the little green right there. Oh, sorry. Don't mess up the focus. So it is booting, plugged into the graphics card, so that's good. I'll go into Windows really quick, and then we'll shut it down and try it. So that's weird that fast boot would cause that to happen. It gets stuck on the internal output, but anyway, so I think to sum this up, I'm going to try that while we talk. To sum up my experience, this graphics card and the new AM5 motherboard, all that is still not perfect out of the box. You're going to have some trouble when you build your first new system with it. It'll get better. I mean, the older platforms all had the same kind of issues from what I can tell. I haven't really done any custom PC builds for a decade or so between when, I think the last one I did was, what was AMD's thing when the Pentium 4 was out? Back when AMD was still kind of competitive, but also just they cost less. Athlon. I think I had an Athlon PC. That was the last one I had built myself. And then I built a few on AM4, and when I built them, they were really nice. Like they worked very well, had no issues. Everything was plug and play, but AM5 so far has had little weird issues here and there. So I'm plugging this in to the graphics card. I'm going to power it on, and we'll see if it actually boots this time. And I'll show you as it's booting. So it's doing the RAM training. That's the orange up there. Whoop, right there. The hand is very blurry because it's very close. Sorry about that. And yes, I'm using my pointer finger in case you were wondering. So it's doing the RAM. Now it has, that's the CPU LED. It always lights that red, I guess, while it's testing out the CPU, making sure it's all happy. Then VGA and now boot. So I guess I'll just not have to do fast boot. I mean, this isn't that much slower than fast boot, so I don't know what the point of fast boot is if it's not that much slower and it breaks everything. But there you go. If you have an Asus motherboard and 7000 series CPU with a graphics card, you might have to turn off fast boot to get it to work. And I think I'll glance here, see if there's anything else fun on here. What was the issue? The issue was, so to summarize, I took out the guts. This is the old AM4 setup that I had. It was a 5600X. And I think, okay, you can see, I thought I was still zoomed in. This is the old platform. I upgraded to AM5 with a 7900X 4090, and I put in down here below, you can go back in the stream and watch, a little M.2 10 gig, not NVMe drive, it's a 10 gig network card that just goes out to the back here on this little, that scares me. It's kind of hanging off right there on a very fragile connector. We weren't able to get 10 gigabits. I was able to get 5 or so gigabits in Windows, and I haven't gotten the Linux driver installed. I'm going to check into that because it says it's PCIe Gen 3 by 2, which should give me 10 gigabits, but we'll see. But I haven't ever tested this card yet, so maybe this card can't do 10 gigs. So that's one thing I'll test, and I'll probably put up a blog post about it later. And that went away, whatever that was. And then we put in the 4090, but it wouldn't boot with it. It kept getting stuck on this little VGA LED. That was annoying. So then we did some debugging. People in live stream are awesome, the live chat. So yay for everybody in live chat. Everybody give yourself a pat on the back. I don't think there's an emoji for that. But anyway, somebody there suggested to turn off fast boot, and I did, and now it will boot up with the graphics card installed and plugged into it. Before that, I had to unplug the graphics card connection, plug it into the motherboard's connection through the iGPU. It would boot, and then I could switch it to the GPU after that. So, weird stuff. But you know, this is a newer motherboard with a newer BIOS, and it is up to date with the latest BIOS from Asus. So, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I guess I got the ROG. I didn't intend to do this, but I got the ROG motherboard, and the tone of the plastic on the back on the IO shield matches the tone of this case. So. Good job to them for that, I guess. But I will be posting, I guess, on my blog. There's links in the description for all the things I mentioned. There's links for all the parts I'm using, almost all the parts. If there's not something, leave a comment and I'll try to add it. And I'll do some more testing. I'll post on my blog at jeffgeerling.com what I find out about this M.2 card, because there's no reason to spend $600 for a scalped card for your SFF PC build if it doesn't even give you 10 gigabits. You might as well just get a 2.5 or 5 gigabit USB adapter in that case. But thank you, everybody. Time to do some more debugging and benchmarking, and I will see you next week.